President Trump's shocking proposal to seize control of Gaza and relocate its Palestinian residents has ignited fierce diplomatic backlash. As world leaders condemn the move, is this a bold step, new strategy, or a reckless act of forced displacement with catastrophic consequences? Well, this and many more we will be detailing in today's flash news on Undaunted ABC Amba TV. Good afternoon and welcome. I am Tabitha Ako. Let's begin. Well, this morning, the announcement of U.S. President Donald Trump's plan to take control of Gaza Strip and relocate its Palestinian residents to neighboring countries has sent shock waves across the global stage. With Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu backing the proposal as a remarkable idea, the international community is grappling with the political, legal, and humanitarian implications of such a move. At a joint press conference in Washington, D.C., Trump outlined an ambitious vision to take over Gaza, level its war-ravaged infrastructure, and redevelop it as an economic hub for the world's people. His remarks, which lacked legal clarity on how the U.S. could assume authority over the territory, framed Gaza as a failed region, whose residents should seek refuge in nations with humanitarian hearts and great wealth. While he assured that the relocation would provide Palestinians with a chance at life, critics have condemned the proposal as a blatant violation of international law and a dangerous precedent for forced displacement. Well, Trump's suggestion that Gaza could become the Riviera of the Middle East echoes sentiments previously expressed by his former advisor Jared Kushner, who once described the Palestinian enclave as a valuable waterfront property. The idea of permanently removing Palestinians and repurposing the land has drawn comparisons to ethnic cleansing, with world leaders warning of severe diplomatic fallout should any such policy be enacted. Take a look.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area.
Okay. Well, despite the widespread criticism, Netanyahu expressed optimism about Trump's vision, stating that it represents a different future for Gaza and an opportunity to change history. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz has reportedly instructed the military to draft a plan facilitating Palestinian immigration, specifically naming Spain, Ireland, and Norway countries that have vocally criticized Israel's military actions as potentially destinations. Katz argued that rejecting the plan would expose these nations' hypocrisy regarding their stance on Palestinian humanitarian rights. Well, the reaction from Washington, D.C. has been mixed. While some American lawmakers have dismissed the idea as a reckless fantasy, others see it as a bold, albeit controversial move. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy denounced the proposal as insane, warning that a U.S. military intervention in Gaza would result in massive American casualties and entangle the country in yet another endless conflict. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham echoed concerns, suggesting that most Americans would strongly oppose sending troops to forcibly relocate Palestinians. However, Senator John Futterman, a vocal supporter of Israel, described the proposal as a provocative part of the conversation that deserves serious discussion. On the other hand, the Palestinian response has been unequivocal. Hamas condemned Trump's remark as a call for mass expulsion, vowing that Gaza's residents will not be driven from their homeland. Palestinian UN envoy Riyad Mansour rejected the notion outrightly, stating that the Gaza Strip is not free land for anyone to grab, and warning that such actions would escalate tensions across the region. Well, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres issued a stark warning that any attempt to forcibly displace Palestinians would constitute a grave breach of international law. In a further development, Saudi Arabia reiterated its rejection of any displacement of Palestinians and reaffirmed that normalizing relations with Israel is contingent upon the establishment of a Palestinian state. The Saudi government's positions aligns with that of multiple Arab nations that have warned against any forced population transfers. Wow. As the dust settles on Trump's controversial remarks, the world is questioning whether this is merely rhetorical posturing or a serious policy initiative. With growing international condemnation and deepening divisions within Washington, the likelihood of this proposal materializing remains uncertain. However, the very suggestion of a U.S.-led takeover of Gaza has already reshaped the geopolitical discourse, adding yet another layer of complexity to an already volatile situation. Well, still on the report, we will be bringing you updates on U.S. Agency for International Development, a rare bipartisan coalition of 5 former U.S. Agency for International Development administration has issued a strong condemnation of Trump's administration's effort to dismantle the U.S. Agency for International Development, warning that the move threatens America's global influence and humanitarian leadership. In a joint statement, the former agency heads, who served under both Republican and Democratic presidents, called on Congress to act swiftly to protect U.S. Agency for International Development statutory role. Their statement argues that weakening or even destroying the agency would serve no political interest and would harm all Americans. They also defended U.S. Agency for International Development's workforce, which has faced harsh criticism from President Donald Trump and tech billionaire Elon Musk. This statement was signed by Samantha Power, Gail Smith, Andrew Natios, Gibran Atwood, and Peter McPherson, who led the U.S. Agency for International Development under the Biden, Obama, George Bush, Clinton, and Reagan administrations, respectively. The Trump administration has already taken significant steps to dismantle U.S. Agency for International Development, which the Congressional Research Service says violates federal law. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Marco Rubio has been named acting administrator and has indicated a part of U.S. Agency for International Development will be absorbed into the State Department, while others will be abolished. Recently, thousands of U.S. Agency for International Development contractors have been put on leave or locked out of critical systems. A memo sent to agency staff on Tuesday night informed them that all direct hires, except for a select few, would be placed on administrative leave by Friday night. Wow. As Trump moves forward with these changes, Elon Musk's controversial Department of Government Efficiency Dodge initiative has sparked widespread outrage, with protests erupting outside the U.S. Department of the Treasury amid growing concerns over unauthorized access to sensitive financial data. Demonstrators, including a coalition of democratic lawmakers, denounced what they called Musk's hostile takeover of critical government infrastructures. Reports indicate that Dodge operatives have gained access to financial systems, processing trillions of dollars in federal transactions, including Social Security payment, Medicare reimbursement, and tax refunds. Critics fear that this level of access poses a severe national security risk and could lead to mass data breaches and financial manipulation. He has access to all our information, our social security numbers, the federal payment system, warned Representative Maxwell Frost. What's going to stop him from stealing taxpayer money? The protests, which took over the streets outside the Treasury building, saw impassioned speeches from lawmakers including Maxine Waters, A.I. Green, Ayanna Presley, and Senators Jeff Merkley and Richard Blumenthal. Jasmine Crockett's fiery address to the crowd left no room for ambiguity. We are not going to sit around while you go and desecrate our Constitution. We are going to be in your face and on your asses. Well, the tension escalated further when a delegation of lawmakers, including Frost and Jamie Raskin, attempted to enter the Treasury Department but were denied access. This standoff has only fueled concerns that Musk's Dodge team is operating with unchecked power and little oversight. The backlash follows a string of revelations that Musk's operatives have been granted sweeping control over multiple federal agencies under the guise of efficiency reforms. Previous reports revealed that Dodge personnel had forcibly gained access to U.S. Agency for International Development Security Infrastructure, leading to the suspension of senior government officials who attempted to block them. With public trust in the administration's handling of federal security now under scrutiny, the controversy surrounding Musk's role in government operation is likely to subside anytime soon. And investigations unfolding, the American public is left questioning the true scope of Dodge influence and whether anyone in Washington has the power to rein it.
We are witnessing in real time the most corrupt bargain in American history. Elon Musk contributed, paid over $250 million to help elect Donald Trump, and now Donald Trump is turning over the keys to the Treasury and the rest of the federal government to Elon Musk. We need to end this illegal power grab, and we are going to do it now. We are not going back.
We are going to fight this legally in every way we can. We will fight their violation of civil service laws. We will fight their violation of civil rights laws. We will fight their violations of separation of powers. We will fight their violations of our Constitution of the United States of America.
Until 2 weeks ago, there was a malaria team with world experts, and they are gone. Until 2 weeks ago, there was a TB team, and they are gone. Until 2 weeks ago, there were disease fighters, and they are gone. But they have not gone away. So we need you to demand that we let them work. Let them work. Let them work. Let them work.
With civilians being uncertain of what lies ahead and with protesters agitating for a halt, would this be possibly considered, especially with Trump's administration that has been accused of a coercive foreign agenda? Well, we only hope to see how this could be managed as time unfolds. In another report, moving over to South Africa's land claims, U.S. President Donald Trump has sparked a diplomatic crisis with South Africa after threatening to cut all U.S. aid to the country over allegations that its government is illegally seizing land. Trump took to Truth Social on Sunday, accusing South African authorities of confiscating land and mistreating certain groups. He declared that the U.S. would halt financial assistance until a full investigation was conducted. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa quickly rejected Trump's claims, stating that his government has not confiscated any land. The controversy centers around South Africa's new Expropriation Act, a law designed to address racial disparities in land ownership, a legacy of the apartheid era. Ramaphosa insists that the legislation is not an instrument for confiscation, but rather a means to facilitate public access to land. Despite Ramaphosa's assurance, billionaire Elon Musk, a vocal Trump ally, has fueled tensions by accusing the South African government of enforcing discriminatory ownership laws. Meanwhile, South Africa's Mineral Resources Minister suggested that if Trump follows through with cutting aid, the country would retaliate by halting mineral exports to the U.S. Take a look.
Happening in South Africa. The leadership is doing some terrible things, horrible things. So that's under investigation right now. We'll make a determination. And until such time as we find out what South Africa is doing, they're taking away land, they're confiscating land, and actually they're doing things that are perhaps far worse than that.
Trump would withhold funding to South Africa. And they said, let's not mobilize Africa. Let's withhold minerals to U.S. That is it. If they don't give us money, let's not give them minerals. But the reality, they take our minerals, but say we're withdrawing funding. No, we have minerals in the continent. And therefore, we have something that we have. We're not just beggars, but we must just use that endowment for our benefit as a continent. But if, as a continent, we are frightened, we fear everything, we are going to collapse, and will collapse with minerals at our doorstep.
While this is on, AfriForum, a right-wing South African advocacy group, has lobbied Trump and U.S. lawmakers to impose sanctions on ANC politicians, arguing that white landowners are unfairly targeted under the new law. However, South African legal experts have refuted claims of land confiscation, emphasizing that expropriation is a controlled constitutional process that does not arbitrarily strip property owners of their rights. Trump's remarks have also raised questions about his broader foreign policy strategy. Some analysts believe his threats are not just about land reform, but are also linked to South Africa's recent diplomatic stance against Israel at the International Court of Justice over the Gaza conflict. Additionally, some suspect that Musk, who has repeatedly criticized the South African government's transformation policies, may have influenced Trump's statement. While South Africa downplayed the potential loss of USAID, most of which funds HIV/AIDS programs, Trump's comments have rattled financial markets. The South African rand and local stocks dipped in response to fears that economic ties between the two countries could deteriorate further. In a thoughtful gesture, is this a battle for property rights or a political power play which may lead to global repercussions? Well, this is where we'll be drawing the curtain on today's edition of Flash News. Remember, I'll be bringing you untold stories on Undaunted at the top of the hour, 8 p.m. Until then, do have a pleasant day.